All right, what's up, guys? It's Glock Osama 2, and today we're going to be talking about how TikTok is, finally getting banned. The TikTok ban is going to be taking place the 19th of January. So, as of me starting recording this video, it'll be taking place in 2 days. But yeah, let's get straight into the video. Every like and sub is a nutrient for my kidneys. You guys already know the deal, and I'm gonna see you guys right in the video. So yeah, as y'all can see, TikTok is actually finally getting banned, and they're finally going through with what they've been saying they're gonna do for quite a minute now. So originally TikTok was known as Musically, and it was still a pretty well-renowned app. This Musically app was more oriented with, lip syncing videos and more music oriented. Then Musically merged with popular app TikTok. Videos can stretch from cooking to dancing to pretty much anything under the sun. TikTok became a very, very well renowned app. And I mean, now TikTok is owned by our parents, it's owned by our grandparents, it's owned by our kids. It's basically owned by everyone, and millions of Americans use the app TikTok. Like obviously, there's countries that don't allow the app to begin with, but United States, after letting it be run on their app stores for years, ever since it's created, has actually decided recently that, we're going to go ahead and ban this. And that's due to a multitude of reasons. And, we're going to go into those reasons. But first, let's kind of go down a history of, how TikTok became the app that it became. And this is just a brief rundown, not an in depth story. So, if you're looking for a 1 hour video on how TikTok, started up, look something up for that. But this is Glocko Sama 2 channel. So, I'm doing my own thing. Just a quick little brief summary. So, as said earlier, around July 2014, Musically started up, and it was an anonymous app known for majority lip syncing videos. Then a year later, Musically hits number one in the Apple App Store. And, it was very, very popular. But by 2016, ByteDance launches an app called Douyin, a video sharing app for Chinese users, and its popularity inspires the company to do a spin off version for foreign audiences called TikTok. And then by November 2017, that's when ByteDance, the owners of TikTok and Douyin, acquire Musically for $1 billion. And 9 months later, they go ahead and merge these two apps together and, make basically the most popular app that has ever existed on this planet. And we've had all types of videos on the TikTok platform. We've had all types of controversies. We have all types of ARGs. We have all types, basically any type of form content, live content. We've had people blow up from the app. We've had people become famous, become rich. It's definitely been something that's changed the overall society as a whole. Well, around the October 2019 time period, US politicians began to raise alarms about TikTok's influence, calling for federal investigations of its Musically acquisition and a national security probe into TikTok and other Chinese owned apps. The investigation begins around the November time of 2019. And to make a long story short, or to summarize, basically, the United States did not like that Chinese apps had United States citizen information on their apps. They weren't too fond of that, and they were also weren't fond of the app's influence towards the youth of the United States, which is very important. It's what we should be taking care of. And whether y'all feel like TikTok was a bad influence on the United States youth, you can't really undermine the fact that it did have its bad influences. Yeah, like under the 14-year mark, really 15, 16, 17, there isn't really much to do on TikTok other than just doom scroll and kind of waste your time and hours when you could be doing something that is more productive. And that's just my personal opinion. I mean, you can have your own opinions toward TikTok. You can have your own notions. I know that TikTok did provide us with a lot of information, but at the same time, come on, you're telling me you were on TikTok and you were repeatedly reading information about, things going on. But yeah, as said, my opinion pretty much stands with that. I don't really care if the app were to stay, but I also do think that around the 2019 mark or whatever, they did have probable reasons for, being scared or being, wary about that. Well, around the December 2019 mark, which is after the investigation began in November. The Pentagon recommends that all U.S. military personnel delete TikTok from all their phones, personal and government issued. And then some services went ahead and banned the app on military owned phones. And in January, the Pentagon bans all apps on all military phones, all TikTok app on all military phones. And TikTok becomes the second most downloaded app in the world, according to data. So around the time that they were going and moving along with the ban, TikTok is just increasing on numbers, and they're just breaking all types of records. So around the May 2020 time period, privacy groups filed a complaint alleging TikTok is still violating U.S. child protection laws and flouting a 2019 settlement agreement. The company, quote unquote, takes the issue of safety very seriously and continuously improves safeguards. It says. Then TikTok, around that May same time period, went ahead and hired a Disney executive, Kevin Mayer, as a chief executive officer or a CEO, and an apparent attempt to improve its U.S. relations. But Mayer went ahead and resigned 3 months later. So I don't know how y'all feel about that. Maybe something weird was going on, or maybe he just found a better job. But obviously, as we know now, that accusation didn't really prove anything, and United States didn't really hold back when it came to banning him. Now, around the July 2020 mark, India did ban TikTok and a dozen of other Chinese apps in response to a border clash with China. And, this was pretty big because we lost all the Indian TikTok motherfuckers that were like bobbing their head and doing a whole bunch of, crying and smiling weird trends. I know y'all remember that. And I thought that was so hilarious. That was so funny. It was so sad when we lost India. But yeah, if y'all are missing that India nostalgic from TikTok, just go ahead and scroll on Reels on Instagram for, maybe like 20 seconds and you'll find another one of those Indian videos. So then around August 2020, Trump issued a sweeping but vague executive order banning American companies from any transaction with ByteDance and its subsidiaries, including TikTok. Several days later, he issued a second order demanding that ByteDance divest itself of TikTok US operations within 90 days. So this was kind of like when it was very, very hard. They were coming very hard at them. Microsoft confirmed that it was exploring acquisition. And this is all the way back in 2020. They were exploring acquisitions of TikTok. The deal never materializes. Neither does a similar overture from Oracle and Walmart. TikTok, meanwhile, sues the Trump administration for alleged violation of due process in its executive orders. So this is before Trump's first, or this is before Trump second term, which Trump used TikTok very heavily in the second term. But before this, he was actually pretty evident to be against TikTok and actually was one of the hardest strikers when it comes to TikTok. But TikTok did fight back for alleged violation of due process and executive orders. So around November 2020, this is where Joe Biden is elected president. He doesn't offer new policy on TikTok and won't take office until January, but Trump still plans to force a sell of TikTok and unravel anyway. The Trump administration extends the deadline and had imposed on ByteDance and TikTok and eventually lets them slide altogether. So after this 2020, we didn't really hear much about it when it comes to the Trump administration because they did, lose office. So because of this, in February 2021, when President Joe Biden is inaugurated in the office earlier in January, he went ahead and postponed all the legal cases involving Trump's plan to ban TikTok, and basically brought it to a halt. So around September 2021, TikTok announced that it had a billion monthly users. And around December 2021, a Wall Street Journal reported that TikTok algorithms can flood teens with torrent of harmful materials such as videos recommending extreme dieting and forms of eating disorders. Now, I've been kind of going into depth of the history of TikTok, but not what the app portrays, and we can go into it just slightly right here. Well, TikTok has a sort of algorithm that'll feed you content that you enjoy. So if you enjoy watching videos that have extreme dieting, have, forms of eating disorders when it comes to, maybe a certain woman that is an influencer that doesn't eat that much and shows you her diets, then it'll feed you that content. Then you'll see other people that are doing the same exact things, and it'll just keep feeding you harmful material that could materialize into your brain and make you, have these decisions. I mean, you can look at a trend like girl dinner, where girl dinner is basically like a form of an eating disorder. It's a meme, it's a joke, yeah, but it's also a true reality for a lot of women, where they don't feed themselves the right nutrients of food and kind of starve themselves just so, they can appear more skinny. But obviously that's not healthy. You shouldn't do that. But it was a very huge trend that a lot of people were partaking, and that's very harmful, especially when it comes to women that are growing up, 13, 12-year olds that are on this app, and they're just watching girls, whether that be a joke or not, they'll eventually see it so much that maybe they'll be like, maybe I should partake in this. You know what I'm saying? And that's basically what the Wall Street Journal is referring to. So, as a response, around a year or a couple of months later, February 2022, TikTok announced new rules to deter the spread of harmful materials such as viral hoaxes and promotions of eating disorders, basically adding, new rules and new disclaimers, and overall a better adjust to the app. But little caption that says, this is harmful. It does, deter more people into, participating in these new eating disorders or these new viral trends that are very harmful to our bodies. Skip a couple months in 2022, BuzzFeed reports that China based ByteDance employees have repeatedly accessed the non public information of TikTok users based on leaked recordings from more than 80 internal TikTok meetings. TikTok responds with a vague comment touting that its commitment to security doesn't directly address the BuzzFeed report. And TikTok also announces that has migrated its user data to the US servers managed by the US tech firm Oracle, but that doesn't prevent fresh alarm um, among US officials about the risk of Chinese authorities accessing US user data. So, the overall acquisition of the tech firm Oracle to be able to run the US user data servers is a huge win for the US, but at the same time, it also isn't very hard for the Chinese to actually go ahead and access that information. Around December 2020, FBI Director Christopher Wray raises national security concerns about TikTok, warning that Chinese officials could manipulate the app's recommendation algorithm for influence operations. And this was proven to be true because ByteDance actually had to fire four employees who accessed data on journalists from BuzzFeed News and the Financial Times while attempting to track down leaks of confidential materials about the company. So, if they are going ahead and trying to find where these journalists are finding this confidential information, then it isn't very far fetched to assume that there is some dirt on them. Well, around the March 2023 time, legislators went ahead and I guess, cooked TikTok CEO Chu at a 6-hour congressional hearing. I'm not even gonna try to say his first name, but he is a native of Singapore, so he wasn't too good when it comes to speaking English. So it kind of was like a back and forth battle to where or the legislators didn't really know what they were talking about, and at the same time, Chu was trying to answer their questions, but they didn't really understand the, I guess, validity, or I guess they didn't really understand the issue at hand because these are old legislators, and they weren't really the most informed when it comes to this topic.
Chu, does TikTok access the home Wi-Fi network?
Only if the user turns on the Wi-Fi. I'm sorry, I may not understand the.
So if I have TikTok app on my phone and my phone is on my home Wi-Fi network, does TikTok access that network?
It will have to access the network to get connections to the internet, if that's the question.
Is it possible then that it could access other devices on that home Wi-Fi network?
Congressman, we do not do anything that is beyond any industry norms. I believe the answer to your question is no. It could be technical. Let me get back to you.
Okay, I'd appreciate it if you can answer that.
I mean, they were asking questions about like the Chinese, and Chu, a native Singaporean, he didn't really know too much about Chinese government. And then around the March 2024, so basically a year later, a bill to ban TikTok or force its sale to a US company gathers steam in Congress. TikTok brings dozens of its creators to Washington to tell lawmakers to back off while emphasizing changes the company has made to protect user data. TikTok also annoys legislators by sending notifications to users urging them to speak up now or risk TikTok banned. Users then flood congressional offices with calls. The House of Representatives passed the TikTok ban or sell bill. And then around April 2024, the Senate follows suit in sending the bill to President Biden, who eventually does sign it as well. This is where it starts to get hot because a couple of months, or basically around 2 months later, TikTok and Chinese parent company ByteDance, they go ahead and sue the federal government to challenge the law that we were just talking about, saying that the law is unconstitutional. And then around June 2024, this is what I was talking about earlier. Former President Donald Trump joins TikTok and begins posting campaign related content. And Kamala was doing the same thing. She also joined in July 2024, and they both start posting on TikTok. So the United States as a whole wants to ban this app, but the two presidents that are running for the country are using the app to post campaign related content. This kind of takes us to the final stretch where December 6th, a federal appeals court panel unanimously upheld a law that could lead to a ban on TikTok, basically the law that was signed by President Biden, handing a resounding defeat to the popular social media app and, its fight for survival in the US. The panel of judges rebuffed the company's challenge of statute, which it had argued had ran afoul of the First Amendment. President elected Donald Trump asked the Supreme Court to pause the potential ban of TikTok from going into effect until after, or basically the start of his administration, can pursue a political resolution to the issue. And then that's up to where we are now, January 17th, 2025. The Supreme Court unanimously upheld the federal law banning TikTok beginning unless it's sold by its Chinese based parent company, holding that the risk to the national security posed by its ties to China overcomes concerns about limiting speech by the app. A ban is set to effect January 19th, 2025. Now, I don't know how y'all feel. This is a little longer video. I'm sorry, guys, but I did have to go down the history of this app and how we got here and use this article to kind of help me because I'm kind of an idiot. But yeah, guys, I don't know how to feel currently. Personally, I do kind of hurt because of the fact that I go live on TikTok, so I do use it and I also post clips on it, and I have a Cat B page, so all those things will be tossed into the trash. And there is a new app called Red Note. I'm not going to say the Chinese name of it, but it is a Chinese app based app that is basically a TikTok clone. People are migrating over to there, but it's only a matter of time till United States bans that app too and begins to ban all Chinese based apps until United States and China can reach to a resolution or conclusion. But yeah, overall, the United States is paranoid that the Chinese are going to take all of our information and then, I don't know, use it to sell us more clothes. Like, I don't really know what they think the Chinese are going to use with that type of information. I also think that it's dumb to like think that the Chinese are like influencing the American youth because regardless if you do ban this, then they're just gonna find this form of content somewhere else. I mean, YouTube exists. If you're worried about them reaching OnlyFans or porn, they're gonna find that anyways. Whenever they start experimenting, and it's kind of like the law of inevitability. Like if TikTok goes away, then something will just take its place, whether that be Red Note or Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts. But yeah, guys, that's it for me, guys. Thank you guys for listening to my video all the way through, and make sure you guys hit a like and sub for my kitty. And Glock Summer 2 loves you guys. I'm gonna see you guys later. Bye. And let me know what you guys think about the TikTok ban. Go ahead and leave a comment for me too.